Is the Heisman Trophy Hendon Hooker's to lose? As of right now, he is the second betting favorite behind C.J. Stroud, Ohio State's quarterback. But look at where he was before the season started. We had a video on this channel. We sat down here. We talked about it. Can Hendon Hooker maybe be a dark horse guy to get into the Heisman Trophy conversation? He was plus 4,500 to begin the year. He's right around plus 500 today. I think it goes without saying, beating Alabama did a lot for his Heisman hopes. But let's sort of take a step back and look at what has to happen and chart the course for Hendon Hooker if he was going to win the Heisman Trophy. To be frank, I think it's his to lose. Even though he's not the betting favorite, he's behind C.J. Stroud, I think it's his to lose. Now, stats are a big part of the Heisman Trophy, whether it's right or wrong. You have people that watch the sport on a semi-casual level that get a vote, and a lot of those people sort of thumb through the stat sheets and say, well, he plays for this team, he had this kind of numbers. Great, that's our vote. I know, it feels criminal to me too, but that's the way that it goes. So with stats being baked into this, Bryce Young is, I think, a good comp for us to look at for Hendon Hooker's Heisman Trophy hopes. Last year, after Bryce Young beat Georgia, kind of had his Heisman moment we'll get to in a minute, his stat sheet was 43 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, right around 4,300 yards. Really good numbers. Hendon Hooker is pacing for right around 30 touchdowns and 4,000 yards. So if we are making an educated guess, Hendon Hooker statistically may be just a cut below the bar that Bryce Young set a year ago. That's okay. Because what I want to make extremely clear is on top of the statistical element, Heisman Trophy voters, just like you and me, are victims of the moment. What you do close to that award being given out matters a whole lot to that group. And so what I want to make even more clear is as long as Tennessee keeps winning, if they go out and beat Georgia and they win the SEC, they beat Alabama a second time, those stats can be, I think, a little bit lesser than what I said Bryce Young had. That's not to say that he can just go out there and lay an egg, and if they keep winning, that's great. He'll still be the Heisman Trophy winner. I'm just saying, as long as they keep winning, there's going to be more importance given to that than there is him throwing 6 touchdowns a game. The thing I want to also mention is there's a very real element of this that has to do with Heisman moments, right? Think about it. Last year, when did you give Bryce Young the Heisman Trophy? Going into championship weekend, there was a lot of talk about it could be this guy, it could be that guy. Then Bryce Young went ballistic against Georgia, and we all just said, okay, it's Bryce Young's. That was the day you gave him that trophy. That was the moment that you said, okay, yep, going to number 9. What I'm trying to say here is the stages that Hendon Hooker has in front of him, I think, factor in really well, especially compared to C.J. Stroud. We'll look at him first. He has a game at Penn State, October 29th, so it'll be important, obviously. It'll be a lot of people watching that game. Then he has the game against Michigan. Those are the 2 really big stages he has outside of the Big Ten championship, which, no knock on that side of the conference. It's not going to be a super glamorous opponent. He has those 2 stages to really just wow the voters. That's great. I would expect him to play well and potentially knock those both out of the park. Looking at what Hendon Hooker has in front of him, he has a potentially ranked Kentucky team that, will be a nice appetizer for voters. And then he has that game at Georgia. Folks, if you thought the hype around that Alabama game was big, if both those teams come into that game undefeated, I would imagine game day's there. I would imagine there is a more than sold out crowd in Athens. And if he can go into that game and have the kind of moment we think he can have there, let's say he puts up a 5-touchdown day against Georgia, defending national champions, they lock up the SEC East. I'm just saying, comparing the stages, they favor Hendon Hooker. Not to mention them going to Atlanta, likely playing Alabama a second time. If they beat Alabama a second time, folks, and Tennessee's undefeated, all bets are off. That Heisman Trophy is going to Hendon Hooker. So this is the final thing I want to make clear. Hendon Hooker's Heisman Trophy hopes and Tennessee's SEC title hopes, they're attached at the hip. As long as Tennessee keeps winning, Hendon Hooker's going to get that Heisman Trophy. That's just the fact of the matter. We're victims of the moment. We're victims of the best player on the best team. If Tennessee goes out there and proves they are the best team in the country, and they're scoring at the rate they're scoring right around that 45-ish points a game. If Hendon Hooker's still the catalyst behind that, he's the epicenter, what's driving that car, that Heisman Trophy is going in Hendon Hooker's apartment in Knoxville. That's just the fact of the matter. That's the way it goes. So, to review, stats matter. They don't matter as much when you're playing on a team that is crushing. Stages are important. If CJ Stroud and Hendon Hooker both bat 1,000 in the stages they have available to them, I think Hendon Hooker gets the nod there. As long as Tennessee keeps winning, if they win the SEC title, I promise you, Hendon Hooker will win the Heisman Trophy. Enough said. That's it for us here on The Hard Count. I'm JD Piquel. Nick Brake does the real heavy lifting behind this operation. You can help drive the show by subscribing to the channel. Now we do a live show Tuesday, 3 Central, 4 Eastern. Same deal on Thursday, 3 Central, 4 Eastern. We open up the live chat, involve you in this deal as much as possible. We are the People's Show. We would not be the People's Show if we did not incorporate you, the people. So thank you in advance for that. We're looking forward to seeing y'all then. So until then, we're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.